I'm actually mostly working on beating my own resistance towards doing the most difficult things. I am spending I am spending time on it. I'm not avoiding it, but perfectionism and things, they're actually making progress difficult.
Yeah. Like, so there's some psychological barriers that are getting in the way of you feeling like you're making progress. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I'm not. It's not just that I'm not feeling progress, but I literally, for the past week, tried to force myself to write the tech copy for my website, and I just haven't been able to do it.
Yeah. No, I understand. Like psychological scripts can really get in the way. Perfectionism can really get in the way, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And also, it's just sometimes unclear to know if like the copy that you're doing is good and right. To really like have like a sense of like you're staring at a blank page, and it's the classic like writer, the author who's writing the book, like that kind of fear. That's just like I don't you don't know what the unknown is. Like you just have a blank screen, and you just need to write, and you don't really know what's going to come out of it. But it's scary because you don't know if you're doing it right.
Yeah, I would say I'm making progress. I found this great app where it forces you to write continuously, and if you ever stop for more than 5 seconds, it deletes your entire text.
Yeah.
So that's actually I'm starting to make progress, and this one app, it's great help for me.
You showed me that. What is it called again?
The most dangerous writing app, like that. That's the all one word is the website.
Yeah, that seems like such a cool idea. Like it reminds me of Morning Pages. That concept, you know, that book Morning Pages, or I think it's called The Artist's Way. But the recommendation is like you just write 3 pages every morning, and you have to keep going and like doing it no matter what comes out. Like what's on your mind, you just keep writing and writing and writing. And the whole point is just to do it so that you beat your like invisible scripts that are holding you back from creating like as you were meant to.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now as well. I am using this app each morning to write 750 words.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Morning Pages recommendation was to use pen and paper, but right now I find this works better for me at this time. But yeah, it's like I'm making progress with my own resistance using this.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, honestly, like I know I read the Artist's Way book and it said use pen and paper, but I never did that. Like I also right now I'm kind of doing something different than Morning Pages, but when I was doing it, I did it on computer because I never use pen and paper, and also computer helps you like keep track of how many words you're writing, so it just makes sense for me, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I took a look at your website, and you told me that your offer, you wanted to make an offer like that was dealing with helping people who were experiencing low levels of constant anxiety, and you wanted to make some sort of offer that responded to that need. You were using Reddit as a customer research tool. Like you were finding people who on Reddit who were experiencing these kinds of things, and just you're not going after clients really right now. You're just kind of understanding your customer so you can write copy and then test out your services. And so, can you talk about what kind of progress have you made since our last call, and then B, and it's okay if you haven't made that much progress. But B, I want to hear about your Reddit customer research, like tactics and strategies, and what that's like. What exactly you're doing on Reddit?
Yes. So with my research, I did do like one big push and kind of started thinking about other stuff after that.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that much, but I did do just a simple offer on Reddit, some self-help subreddit. I cannot even remember which one right now.
Yeah.
But I just invited people to do an interview with me, and I just said what I'm working on. in a short description, said what you said, and just asked who's interested. And I did get to do an interview with, I think it was like 3 people when there were about like 500 views or something.
Awesome. Wait, what was your post? Like, what did you, so you went into a self-development subreddit and you posted like, I'm looking to interview some people, or did you like private message people who would seem interested, or did you private message anyone in that subreddit? How'd you go about it?
So I just made a single Reddit post, and obviously the rate of how many views translate to how many actual contacts, it's quite low. So for me, it was something like 1 out of 200. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going to do this.
That's not bad, honestly. Like 1 out of 100, like it tends to be the case that 1% or 2%, of viewers are engaging with your content in some way. Or on like emails, it's kind of like if you have 100 people opening your emails, if two of them click on your link or like respond to you, that's actually a good metric. But it's the same way for just pure traffic on social media. Like 100 people viewing and 1 person commenting, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So first step is to find people who are willing to do the interview. Then the next thing is, are they exactly what you're looking for? And I would say like none of the people I found there were what I was looking for exactly. There was a guy with severe anxiety, and there was a person who had pretty much, got their stuff handled, and that's why they were interested in the interview, just because they had done so much work on them.
Interesting. So do you think that maybe like, I do want to hear exactly what you said on the Reddit thread, but do you think that maybe the people that are experiencing anxiety, like, are maybe anxious about getting an interview with you?
I think it's very likely.
Yeah.
There are a lot of correlations with anxiety. There is perfectionism, there is social anxiety, and yeah, it kind of stands to reason that they might not be the easiest people to contact. And especially because the way that I have defined low levels of anxiety, people might not be that convinced that something needs fixing either. So they are kind of discouraged from doing, scary stuff. But at the same time, they don't feel the need to do it either.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because your offer has to do with like people experiencing a constant low level of anxiety, which you say builds up and builds up and builds up and ends up being like a really painful problem. But it's not necessarily a problem that people are aware of, and a problem that they like need to fix, like that they know that they need to fix, even though they should need to fix it. So it's kind of that dilemma, and it might have to do with kind of changing the copywriting and like the words that you use in describing that issue, so that it's so you can describe it in a serious way, and in a way that really resonates with them, that this is a problem that they need to fix now, and it's worth like hopping on a call with you. I do want to hear what did you post on Reddit? Like what exactly did you say in the subreddit? And if you remember the subreddit, that would be great too.
Well, I can of course look it up right now.
Yeah, let's get it up.
Yeah, I don't remember by heart because it was like a month ago.
Okay. And do you think you learned anything from these Reddit calls that you did, like the few that you did?
I really want to say yes. Honestly, what I did was I wrote down their answers, and I figured, I'll analyze them, and then I kind of didn't. So the answer is that I still have all of the material that I wrote down, but I
Right.
haven't thoroughly gone through it. And it's good that you reminded me that I should, because I didn't even realize until now.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have that in the bank because you can always refer to that, like the exact things that they're saying, like that you interview them. Like when you're writing your copy for your page, you can refer to exact things that they said, how they overcome anxiety, or what challenges and pains do they have, and you can use that in your copy. Um, so even if you haven't implemented anything yet, like you can still do it in the future as you're working on your website.
Yeah. So I found the post.
Cool. Do you want to share your screen? Can you click that green button to share your screen?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me just find the green button. Here we are. Screen share. Oh, wrong thing. Our private messages with Matt.
Yeah. Hopefully no one pauses that. All right. So our self-help, and let's see. So how many people are in this subreddit?
First, I think it's supposed to show it in this right corner, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's a fair amount that are in the subreddit. If I'm not mistaken, it's like a couple 100,000. I want to say at least.
I think maybe it was like 50,000. Oh,
30,000. Okay.
30,000.
Wow. Okay, so by the way, what we're looking at right now is basically a fishing hole, or when we're talking about subreddits and we're talking about Facebook groups, or we're talking about other places that people like to hang out in. These are places that are good for doing customer research. So Dan's target customer that he has in mind is someone experiencing low levels of anxiety. That's at least the idea that he's working with right now. So part of the objective that he was supposed to do is identify a handful of different subreddits. I mean, not just subreddits, but any place, fishing hole, or place of congregation where target customers hang out in. And the more specific, often the better. But this one, our subreddit, is definitely, it seems like a good fishing hole where people are really expressing real pains and problems, which is definitely the sign of a good place to a good fishing hole. So you posted this post on Reddit looking to interview people who are really into self-development. I remember so your positioning kind of shifted since you posted this, because you initially said you want to target people who are really, really into like all kinds of self-development, and who something's not working though. Like they're really familiar with the world of self-development, and they're really like ambitious, but they have compiled a lot of different theories, and something just isn't unifying her. You can explain it better than I can, I'm sure.
So I view it as only slightly having shifted, and the focus being more on the underlying cause of what's wrong, rather than the effort to find true happiness not being enough. So yeah, I used to concentrate more on people that are really just kind of trying everything that they're supposed to, and they're really putting in the effort, but for some reason, their healthy activities seem to be such a drain on energy, and they're not really finding fulfillment. They're not really happy, and just figuring out like, why not? And kind of the answer I came up with was an underlying low level of anxiety. So something that it's not intense enough to be immediately evident, but it affects you in ways such as you find less enjoyment in the things you do. It's more difficult to just be immersed in activities. you it's difficult to rest somewhat. Like restful time does not really recharge you, things like that. And that is essentially what I shifted to. My description can be quite different when I'm, posting things on Reddit. Like I cannot even remember if when I posted this thing, if I had decided that my niche should be low-level anxiety. But people, if I believe that people don't view it as anxiety, then it's not really a way I can describe it as. And so that is why I think I wrote here, I haven't read through it right now, that people are putting in work, but they're not finding fulfillment.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it seems like this was before you landed on low level of anxiety.
It could be.
And because it doesn't seem to mention that in this description. And I'm wondering if you posted here now, like if you made a new post that said, I'm looking to interview people who experience anxiety. Low level anxiety is a bit obscure. It's like no one's like, oh yeah, I mean, you can use that in your copy for sure, and it's kind of a concept that you have to explain. But just when you're trying to just pull people in, if you just say, I'm looking to interview people who experience some sort of anxiety, and then you qualify the people as they respond to that. And you can say, I'm working on creating a solution to anxiety. And I need to do some research to craft my solution. So, if I can interview anyone, that'd be great. I'm wondering if that, cause that would be more specific than what you ask here. Some people did respond to this, and you did have a couple interviews, but as you said, maybe the people that are getting interviewed here are kind of cured in a way because they're already into self-development, and they've explored a lot of different literature, and they seem confident. But I do wonder if you flipped it around and made a new post that said looking to interview people on anxiety.
Honestly, yeah, like my focus has. I think you're right, because my focus used to be that people who are putting in effort, and now it's more like what's actually not right. So right. If I made a post right now, that's probably what I would describe it as, perhaps like occasional anxiety and maybe a few more symptoms like frequent tiredness, etc.
Right.
And I do imagine that I would get people who are more of what I'm looking for now.
Definitely. I mean, right here, what you're saying right now, in this post, I mean, I know this is a while ago. This is a month ago. There's not a lot of emphasis on the pain point. So it's, I mean, there's a couple, it's pretty general. I'm a 28-year-old self-development enthusiast who's working part-time as a life coach. I want to coach and write for people who have faced similar issues in life as I have. I'm thinking about challenges where the person is trying hard, they're putting in the work, but still not getting where they want to. It's a little hard to relate to because it's a bit abstract.
I think you're right.
This especially applies to making effort to develop oneself, but not finding fulfillment. A lot of people can relate, if they zoom out and if we're abstract about it, but it's not we're not talking about anything concrete. So it's rare that someone's going to raise their hand and be like, yeah, I'm a person who's trying hard, putting the work in, but not getting work. It's a little vague. Where they're not getting where they want to. What does that mean? What do they want? What exact challenges are they having? I really think that if you redid this with anxiety, focus on anxiety, you would get more responses and better responses for the people that you interview. As a side, I'm wondering about private messaging. Have you explored private messaging people on Reddit, and what's been your experience with that?
I really haven't done that much.
Yeah, because Reddit, I've done a little bit of private messaging, not for target customers really, but for influencers and other kinds of things. And that's actually that's where the serious like conversations have on Reddit, in my opinion. Like everyone in comment sections is often trying to be like quirky and funny, and like it's not really personal. But when I transitioned to a private message, we started to talk about, all right, let's set up an appointment now, talk about this now. So I'm wondering if you can reach out to people who on Reddit, if you search through Reddit and type in anxiety, and you look for people who are posting about anxiety and expressing problems related to it, if you PM those and said, hey, I noticed that you were talking about anxiety in blank subreddit, I would really like to interview you. I'm trying to come up with a solution to anxiety, and I'd really like to interview you. If you're too anxious to do a phone call, like we can just make it a text interview if that's more comfortable with you.
Yeah, that sounds smart.
Yeah. And have you tried anything else other than Reddit for customer research?
So there are people I know as friends. So I know a lot more about them already, and I can make guesses how well they fit into the model. And I have created a checklist of symptoms, like, for example, feeling overwhelmed about their life, or constant tiredness, etc., and giving those checklists out and just seeing which one of those people relate to. So that has given me some information as well, just to see like what's more common. Because
yeah, and it's always really helpful to talk to real people, like, and really see what they say, and your friends might not be your target customers, but it's still like real people. Just simply talking to people and asking them questions, you often have insights that you don't get when you're just doing online research. So yeah,
absolutely. It's always good to know people. It always comes in handy.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about let's stop sharing the screen.
Stop share.
And I want to ask you about, like, where do you see yourself in 6 months? In 6 months, where do you see this business, and how do you see yourself progressing in the future? Where would you like to be? And how do you see yourself growing month to month?
So right now I have done very little paid work, and I haven't done any paid work after deciding on a niche. So in 6 months, I do want to be doing paid work with this. Probably something low level, doesn't even matter, but it is to a large extent about the client's commitment as well. And I want to have people who are willing to put their money where their mouth is, and they're willing to put in the effort.
Yeah, it's like going from like zero to paying you just $1, like just paying you something. That's the hardest part. And, I think you'll definitely get there in 6 months, but it's just, if you approach it right now, it's just like you're crafting out, you're doing exactly what you should be doing right now. You're doing really good customer research. You're testing out like different places to interview people and refine your offer and really craft an offer that people will like and respond to well. And then you're going to like get some testimonials by working with people for free, and just testing out the service, and that will lead to paid referrals and offers down the line. Yeah.
Right now, I wouldn't say I have a product, because I myself, I would say I do have my own issues with this low levels of anxiety, and I have made a lot of progress, and I have learned a lot, though not quite solved it. And right now, I'm not so sure what I can reproduce, and what do I need to what new things I need to create. So these things are something that I need to test out on people. But even now, I still have experience as a generic coach. So if if these people who have low anxiety do come to me, then I'm sure I can create some progress for them. It won't be, as smooth as we would want it to be. Uh, there would be way more experimenting probably, but I'm very sure like clients would benefit from what I have to offer right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you're being authentic about it, because it's like you're not promising that you're going to solve all of their anxiety issues in 2 months. Like the way you're talking about is you're going to help them a little bit, using the skills that you have now, and and experimenting and seeing what works. And then as you do that more, your offer will become better and better. So I think you'll definitely help people, even if it's just a little bit. You'll help them, and they'll really appreciate it. And then as you test more and like refine your offer more, you'll help people even more.
Yes. So you asked me like month by month what kind of progress I want to make.
Yeah.
So right now I do have like some people I'm working with, but that's kind of just to keep me active. It's free work, and they're mostly not really in my target niche. So right now, I'm working on creating a copy for my website. So I want to start getting people who are at least sort of related, sort of close to my actual niche.
Gotcha.
Doesn't have to be exact at all, but just better than a random selection of people. So that's kind of the next step. And then as I'll get people who are more of what I'm targeting, I'll make the next iteration of making my product more in line with what they need, and also going more specific with what my offer is.
Yeah. But that's the right progression. It's like first you got to understand them and find where they are, and then test out off the offer, and then get even more specific in crafting that offer. Yeah, but that sounds like a good vision for your future and how you'll evolve in the next several months.